My name is Laura Corsi, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Katie Cross. So, I served with Katie Cross for 3 years. I was her stage manager, and I cannot think of anyone more deserving to go for her master's in directing than her. During my time with Katie, I always felt like I knew what was going on. She was excellent at giving directions and instructions and making sure everybody knew what was happening and where to go and what cues to use. She just had a very clear way of explaining it so that everyone knew how to make the production the best that it could be. I always felt prepared for any situation with Katie. One thing she taught me was to expect the unexpected. I always had multiple copies of everything everywhere we went. I had multiple copies of scripts and of cues and of paperwork that needed to be signed and given to contest managers, and there was never a time that I felt unprepared or unsure of any situation. Katie taught me always to expect the unexpected. Katie was also very inclusive. She always let anyone in. If they wanted to see, how the bigger picture was made, she always included everybody. If someone wanted to see the planning process that it takes for rehearsals, or for how to set cues, or for how to get sound to work with the soundboard and the light board, she was always very welcoming in that aspect. If an actor wanted to see, why it was so important to have tech, she would always have a time set aside when they could come back in the tech booth and see how much it takes for us, to be able to hear them and for us to be able to have the right lights and the right sound just to get the emotion clear across. Katie always welcomed. She never turned away anybody. If there was any conflict at all, she worked through it, because in the end, it was really about the show and about how the cast and crew felt about it. And if they were happy with their show, and if it came across the way that they wanted it to, then it was a success in Katie's eyes. And I think that Katie's direction definitely helped our cast and crew become more as one. We always had our differences between the actors and the actresses and the sound and the lights and the backstage and everything, but Katie always had a way of sitting us down before every rehearsal where we all just came into our color zone. She called it, we breathed in our colors, and we all just realized the bigger picture, and that was simply for the show. It wasn't about our personal lives that moment. It wasn't about what was going on at home. It was about the show. And we transformed into our characters, or into our positions and our crew, and we realized more about the overall picture. With Katie's direction, I don't know if there's anything like it, honestly. Katie made it seem so special to every one of us. She made it seem so personal. She made it seem that there was nothing that anyone else could do to fix our position or to make our spot any better. It was all up to us, and it was about how we wanted it to feel, and it was about everything we could do. She could only help us so much, but the rest of it was up to us. She made it very personal. She made it very special, and she made it a time that I will never forget. Katie is one in a million. She's very special, and I don't think that you could find anybody else like her. I think she's the perfect candidate for your program, and I hope that you all decide to allow Katie to work in your Masters of Arts in Directing program. Best of luck to you, Katie. Hi, my name is Laura Corsi, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Katie Cross. I served with Katie Cross for 3 years under her direction. I was her stage manager, and there was never a time that I felt unprepared for any situation. If there's one thing Katie taught me, it was to always expect the unexpected, whether that meant having extra copies of scripts or of cue sheets for lights and for sound, or extra copies of documentation for contest managers and for judges and for any of that kind of stuff. She always taught me to be one step ahead, to always think outside of the box and to think of the bigger picture. I always had, an extra cable or an extra light or an extra battery for something. I never went anywhere without thinking 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead of the worst possible situation. Katie also was very inclusive with her cast and crew. She always made it very personal. If there was anything anybody wanted to know about the show and stuff that happened backstage and in the tech booth, she always welcomed them. If an actor wanted to see why it was so important to have lights at this exact certain time, why they had to say their line this certain way, she would always set aside a time for them to come in and to go back to the tech booth and look at what it meant for the technicians to have that certain cue, to have it said that certain way for the audience. She made it seem very personal. If there was anything going on outside of theater, she set aside a time for that too and would talk through it with you. She would make sure that you felt safe. She would make sure that you felt welcomed and loved. She's honestly one of a kind, and I don't know if you can find anybody else like Katie Cross. She's an amazing director. I've seen her transform not just shows, but actors and actresses into quiet, shy people who got stuck into a theater class and they just transformed into this amazing actor or technician. And I saw her change personalities of people in the absolute best way. And I don't think there is anyone else I would rather lead me in a theater position besides Katie Cross. Her direction is spot on. It's out of the box, it's imaginary, and it's magical. I hope that you decide to allow Katie to participate in your Masters of Arts in Directing program. I can't think of anyone more deserving and more passionate about directing in theater. I don't know if I've ever met anybody as just enthralled in the theater world and about making every person feel welcome in a theater than Katie Cross does. Best of luck to you, Katie. I hope they decide to pick you. Miss you and love you bunches.